We're live.
Yeah. That's supposed to be hearing sound. Oh, there it is. What's with the delay? Live from a pile of poppies and rainbows. It's an all-new, terrific Tuesday edition of Business Pants. What kind of a pile? Do you think the puppies are on the bottom or the rainbows are on the bottom? How do we build that pile?
Ooh, I hope the rainbows are on the bottom because that sounds cozy.
Joined by analyst hole Matt Moscardi. Wow, you've already heard him on today's even happier meal called January 28th, 2025. A mega good game. A mega,
really? Mega
massive good game. We haven't done the good game so many months, so it's back with a force.
Ooh, there's better be a lot of good things. We got months.
I tried my
content.
best. Tried my best. Our show today is being sponsored by FreeFlowAnalytics.com, the only platform measuring board power connections and performance for free. Board power, connections, and performance.
I like
lots of other stuff.
What's not to like about FreeFlowAnalytics.com? What's not to like about it?
I use it.
It's fabulous.
Yeah, I use it regularly. Yeah.
I find it fabulous.
Here's how the good game works. We've had some feedback recently, Matt. Some of it is very dead on. Some feedback was suggesting that maybe I'm sinking into a morass of depression, which is possible. So I'm going to counter that feedback by bringing out the good game. And here's what the good game is. I go back into the headlines that usually make me horribly depressed, and I look for silver linings. I look for shiny baubles, for headlines that on their appearance seem good, like we're making progress, like we're going in the right direction, like this is how things should be. So that's what I do. Yeah, so I read the headline.
Good. Got it.
And then Matt, our pundit extraordinaire, Matt's really our Vivek Ramaswamy. That's who Matt
How
is.
dare
He is our supreme blowhard, and he actually tells me on a scale from 0 to 10 or whatever if it's actually good. Okay, that's how this game works.
All right, so I'm the cynic and you're trying to find optimism. That's the way this works.
Okay, fine, if that's how you want to say it. You ready? I got a lot, so we're gonna go.
Let's do it.
We're just gonna kind of go quickly, I suppose.
Yeah, let's
rip
through
pretend
them.
to go quickly. The first one is I've separated them into categories this week to help my feeble brain. The first one it's in a category all by itself, and this is from news that came out just yesterday, based on headlines that everyone's already reading, Matt, and that you posted on our servers. So it's clearly something that you're thinking about. So I was wondering, we talk all the time about AI, OpenAI, and Grok, and Alphabet, all these things. So how about this happening just yesterday? The headline is Sputnik Moment, $1 trillion wiped off U.S. stocks after Chinese firm unveils AI chatbot. I think it's called DeepSeek. So Matt,
DeepSeek.
Could this be a method of fighting back against our emperors of AI? All these corporations that are controlled by single individual gentlemen.
Honestly, I love this. I love it.
This is good. Oh, okay.
I love it. I love it because, well, first of all, everyone had been talking about how AI was a bubble, like the investment in AI was a bubble. We found when we went out as Free Float to go get investor dollars that if we didn't say the words AI, they wouldn't even talk to you, right? Like,
or generative AI, not bubble though. You can't say
literally
bubble.
Everyone said, "Are you using AI? Are you developing AI?" Like that's all anybody wanted to fund. So they overfunded all of it. They spent billions and trillions of dollars, to say AI on everything, and then China, for a hedge fund in China, came up with AI that costs like a fraction of the amount, uses like a fraction of the power, and they open sourced it. And now, like everyone's sitting around being like, "What do we pay for?" And that's what the losses yesterday. Everything's back up today, but that's what the drops.
It is really. It's back up to.
No, it hasn't made it all back yet. But Nvidia's up was up just a minute ago. It was up 5.5% on the day.
No,
and
what's the logic behind that?
Because like everything, these are human
Right.
markets, right? Like it's a narrative. So
Sure.
it's
That's the
like
that's the part of it I hate the most.
people got terrified yesterday, sold everything, and now
Hmm.
they're like, well, it's not that bad, and then they're rebuying stuff. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, I love it. What the best part about it is, we now have to choose between two separate entities again. We had just did this in social media where we're banning TikTok but embracing Zuckerberg, right?
Right.
Now we're doing it with AI, where our choices are Sam Altman and Elon Musk or China. And
Yeah,
it's
but
like,
yeah, at the same time, we're still forcing the sale of TikTok. It's still being forced. In fact, I heard just today that Microsoft might be one of the entities that might buy TikTok.
at least they're an adult.
I suppose, but I'm just
Adult
saying, like,
adjacent.
why are we ripping things away from the Chinese in that case, but not in this case? The whole thing is it never. The Cold War with China makes no sense to me, other than the fact that it's a Cold War used to
Like,
deceive and create more capital.
I just love any time.
Yeah,
This is like a tiny Chinese outfit. I love any time you can rip the narrative away from these beta middle
the
school
geniuses.
manflakes, these children.
Yeah,
You can rip the
who
narrative away from
supposedly
them
are the most important people in our globe
on
because
the
they are the
planet.
wealthiest people in
Everything.
our
I
globe,
just saw
right?
3 headlines that were like Visa's now working with Musk and like Boeing's working with Musk, and it's like they're middle schoolers.
More
Just
important than scientists, more important than people that run colleges and surgeons, than whatever you want to say. They're more
we're
important.
pausing
They're
federal funding of every grant of a scientist on Earth, and meanwhile, the middle schoolers are losing their shit because, like, someone else thought of something they didn't. I love it. I love it. It's a 10. It's a 10. Give it
Oh
a
wow.
10, baby.
Okay. All right. I wasn't expecting that, but I'll happily take it. All right, that's the fun is over. Let's get the next category: anger and fighting back. Okay, anger and fighting back. So these are all what appear to be good ways to fight back against some of the problems that we outline consistently in our shows. How about this first one? Walmart is facing backlash from investors after cutting DEI programs. Matt, is this a good way if you're an investor or maybe even a consumer in a company? Is this what you do if you're angry about DEI programs being cut?
Nothing's as effective as writing a sternly worded letter to somebody. That's what I like to think.
Unfortunately, that's what I was thinking when I opened this article on Fast Company. But yeah,
I mean, the signatories
ahead.
of the letter are like nuns, right? Like,
I know,
so,
I know.
so we're not these
People that society used to respect.
these aren't the people. They're not going to
Now we respect Joe Rogan.
look. The fact is, even writing it to like so they when they write the letter, right? Like they write it to the CEO, Doug McMillan. That's who the letter addressed.
Doug McMillan, the guy who used to be the chair of the Business Roundtable at a
That's
time
right,
when the
yeah.
Business Roundtable was its most stakeholder friendly. It was really leaning into this idea of stakeholder capitalism, and that was only a few years ago.
Yeah, yeah. How a lot changes in like 2 years, but they
Does
write
it
it to
though? Should it?
they write it to Doug McMillan, not the Waltons, right? Like this is a
Interesting, yeah.
dual class,
Well,
family run
that's
company.
true.
It's fake
That's true.
public.
Yeah. In fact,
So-
you're right. The Waltons could reverse this in a heartbeat. Right?
The Waltons sneezed, and like they could change everything. At
They have the
Walmart.
voting
Like, that's the way
power.
it
They
works.
have board members. They have pretty much everything.
So this one to me is like cute, but it's literally
Okay.
like begging Mark Zuckerberg to not give children body dysmorphia. I don't. What are you doing?
What do you
Like
got?
he just picked Dana White to be on his board. Come on. So I'm gonna give it a 5. It's the right. Their heart's in the right place.
Speaking of Dana White, I was thinking yesterday that so DeepSeek comes out, the stock market goes down for AI companies, and then within the day, there's already a cyber attack on DeepSeek. I was thinking maybe that's why Mark Zuckerberg brought Dana White onto the board to start,
Ooh.
fights like middle school playground fights, right? Just
Yeah,
yeah,
they
right.
could do maybe they can do like a jump off the ropes onto DeepSeek. That's the way that's gonna work.
All right, the next headline in anger and fighting back, a lawyer says he dropped Meta as a client after what he called a descent into toxic masculinity and neo-Nazi madness by Zuckerberg's company. Is that a good way to fight back? Just drop him as a
That's
client,
well,
right?
look,
Is that
the
more
right
effective?
the right way to fight back is for everyone to cancel Facebook, like and Instagram and
Yes,
WhatsApp.
and
Like
to
just delete
repeat
it.
and to say what this lawyer said, right? It's just, when you say it out loud, it is pretty shocking. What he calls a descent into toxic masculinity and neo-Nazi madness. That's sort of some strong words. They used to be,
It
at least in our culture.
it is strong. I would say that this guy is like just a guy. Like he's got to
Sure,
be one of 93 lawyers. It him by
of
himself
course,
is not the effect.
but
I actually what I've been trying to convince like my wife of who
yes,
is on Instagram, she uses Instagram, is
Zuckergram.
every minute you spend on this, you are bolstering like the masculine beta Zuck, right? Like middle school Zuck. You're
How about
making it
this?
easier for him to be a man flake and like kiss up to Trump.
since
So
this is since this is the good game and I'm on a positive high right now. Here I actually figured out a solution to this. What if we force companies, all companies that have a controlled owner like Zuckerberg's Meta Platforms, what if we just force them to call all their products by Zuckerberg's name? So it wasn't
ooh,
Instagram, it was Zuckerberggram.
yeah,
So then people
Zuckergram.
really
Yeah.
were like, wait, I'm sharing pictures. My daughter is sharing pictures of herself at the beach, like in her bikini, to Zuckerberggram. Like, what? Why am I letting her do this? Like, what's happening here?
Every time you see a picture of like a young girl on Instagram, you should
Which
think
is
of
Instagram, I feel
which
like.
is basically most of it, but you should think of Mark Zuckerberg in that black t-shirt with
Owning
the gold
the,
chain on,
the photo, yeah.
looking at it with you. And how
Own,
creepy is that?
owning it, owning the metadata, owning everything, the
Yeah.
location where the picture was taken, everything.
And then trying to sell that girl smaller bikinis, right? Like
All
everything
right,
about
okay.
it is gross.
So, what's your score about this lawyer dropping Meta?
This to me is the same as writing a letter to Walmart. It's
Oh,
heart's
really?
in the right place.
Well, what can he do? I mean, he did it, but he did what he needed to do. I honor this guy.
I'll give
All
him
right,
a
but your
6.
score.
I'll give him a 6.
All right, okay, fine. I talked you into. I wind you into it. Anger and fighting back. BMW. Okay, forget about the. I know the tone of the headline is one thing, but I'm really looking at BMW's action. The headline says BMW trolled after announcing it's no longer posting on X and becoming more woke. But Matt, I'm asking you, what about BMW saying they're no longer posting on X? Is that a great way to fight back? Is it fight back Elon Musk? What do you think about that?
Who trolled them? Elon. Elon
Well,
trolled them. Like
the anti woke Rogan Musk brigade. I don't know, all the man flakes as you call them.
yeah. The I mostly what I want to know is why did it take so fucking long? What
I
were you
like yeah
doing?
yeah. Well, they had to wait for at least two Nazi salutes and his outright support for the neo-Nazi party and of all countries, Germany.
Who Musk just said to the neo-Nazi party that focused too much on the past, and has been talking about like effectively espousing all of the future Nazi propaganda. It's uh, is there a threshold where companies are like, I could deal with the one Nazi salute, but the second one has really put me over the
Matt,
top. I'm out
I
now.
I promised myself I was not going to devolve into like a ranty, angry mess today, so I won't do it. But I will say this: we have given everyone probably 17,000 very sound, uh, either economic or ESG reasons, whatever you want to call them, to get to dump Musk. But it's actually gotten to the point where he had to do the Nazi salute and support neo-Nazi parties in Germany. I mean, even we couldn't have predicted that it was getting to get to this point. But
I
what do you think
mean,
about this? BMW
it's
dropping X.
I wonder what took so long. This seems like reversing stupidity, which was a very old rule of the good game, which is if you did something stupid for a long time and then did stop doing the stupid thing, then you don't get credit for not doing the stupid thing anymore. So I'm going to give this a 3.
Oh, all right. Let's stay in our anger and fighting back category. We got some more headlines in this one. How about this one? Speaking of Elon Musk, nearly a third of Elon Musk's EV loving Dutch customers may sell their Teslas. Quote, there's been a debate in the Netherlands around Tesla shame.
Don't have
Tesla
shame.
shame. I like that.
Don't have shame. It's not your fault. He turned.
Just sell it.
Just sell it. Just get rid.
Oh,
Just get rid of it.
Depends on when you bought your Tesla, I suppose. But yeah, just get
But
rid of it. I like it. You know what? The Dutch.
in the
I know the Dutch are
Netherlands,
listening.
Don't
Love
they
us.
have options?
There are a lot of. I was going to say there are other electric vehicles other than Teslas. I know it's kind of mind blowing the thought.
I mean, like, I know Tesla's a pretty car, but you can get in the Netherlands. I think you can get some Chinese ones
Matt,
that are actually good.
They
too.
all look
like,
alike. All these cars look
Come
basically
on,
alike.
just get different ones. Just trade them in.
What's your score about this one?
That's good. I don't know how to rate how good a debate about shame is. I don't know
Yeah.
how to rate that. When they sell their Teslas, it'll be fabulous. But that they're debating it, I'm going to give it a 5.
Just leave them at the bottom of the canal there in Amsterdam.
Yeah, there's plenty of room.
All right, let's stay with Elon Musk hate. Here's the headline: I drive a Cybertruck, and I'm sick of people flipping me off. I wish they understood how helpful this car is for me. What do you think about the gesture of flipping off the Cybertruck? Is that an appropriate way of fighting back?
Isn't it fabulous? Isn't
It might
that great?
be actually. It actually might be. Yeah.
Is there
This
no
is the version
more?
we always talk about. Yeah, I was going to say we always talk about how investors can react, how consumers can react, but we never thought about this. The general public can react by just flipping things off.
Yeah. Do you really want to drive your Cybertruck around town where everywhere you
No.
go, people flip
I
you
could
off?
never.
I
could
I
never.
think it's awesome. There's a Cybertruck in our town that drives around, and it's so stupid because the Cybertruck doesn't fit in their garage because they made
Yeah.
it so wide. So it's always out, and every time I see it, it's like everyone I'm with. It doesn't matter if I'm with like my wife, my kids, like friends, whatever. They all say the same thing. Like, "Oh my God, it's so hideous and it's so stupid," and
Yeah.
and it's basically like flipping it off. I love it. I'm giving it a 9.
It's like the Hummer back in the days, except it's a Nazi Hummer, so it's even worse.
Yeah. Nazi Hummer.
Two more in anger and fighting back. Here's a headline: misogynistic taunts cost Philadelphia Eagles fan his job at DEI firm. So what do you think about that? The DEI firm, one of their employees was yelling, I think the C word at a
Yeah, I
woman
saw the
at a
video.
football game over and over and over. So the DEI firm fired the dude. What do you think about that? Is that a good way of fighting back? Just firing people?
I mean, you work at a firm that deals with gender diversity as a
worst.
core piece of what it does, and you're using
Yeah.
this. And
Yeah.
the guy was like just aggressively using the C word at a woman who's in front of him, not even looking at him, right? Like
Yeah.
it was the video's
Football's
very
important,
bizarre.
Matt. Yeah, games with balls are very important.
So I think you'd fire him regardless of if it was a DEI firm or not. Actually, I have a bigger problem with the headline pointing out that it was a DEI firm.
Yeah.
Like how about
So like a
man
little-
says C word gets fired, right?
Yeah.
That
They had to
would be enough.
qualify it.
Let
me ask
yeah,
you
but
this.
yes, I'm going to give it a 7 because he definitely should
Let
get
me-
fired.
Let me ask you this: is misogynistic taunts at football games, is that the new MAGA hat?
Well, look, it's hard to really talk much about misogynistic taunts. When you go to Europe, every single football match is just full of racism and misogyny,
Racist,
right?
and
Like,
misogynism. Yeah,
it's
true.
pretty horrible. So,
Yeah, I think
I'm guessing that
it-
gathering large groups of middle school maturity men in one place, this is what happens.
I will say this: I am lucky enough to travel occasionally, and when I'm in other countries and people start to berate me for my country about our racism or misogyny, I do have to roll my eyes a bit as I begin to explain their country's history of racism and misogyny. But
Yeah,
so
that's
I
fair.
wish it was. Look, I wish it was only us. But yeah, you're right to point that out. All right, let's one more in the anger and fighting back category. Biden, former President Biden, as he's stepping down, warns that an oligarchy is forming that threatens U.S. democracy. He's talking about the tech bros. So, what do you think about it? Is that a good way of fighting back? Warning people?
Warning people, like
I mean, unfortunately for dear old Joe Biden, everybody hates him. So,
nobody's
his
listening.
warning is going to affect like 4 people. But I respect him and I respect the warning. But what do you think?
Look, we can't. We had a stronger economy in the U.S. now than we've had in 4 years. We've there's a lot of things that are actually really good. Then nothing's perfect, but there's a lot of things
Except
that
for
are
the
really
price of
good.
cereal.
Except that everybody hates the
That
guy
nobody
who made it
needs.
really good. Like that's
It's mostly
really
sugary. Yeah.
that's really what happened. So I don't know. Warning about like yeah, but like if you take the cereal analogy, like nobody likes the nutrition facts that say this will
I
give you
do.
diabetes, right? Like nobody likes that.
Only
So,
me.
he's right. He's late in being right. It's already happened. Um, so I don't know. How do I give five? I have five. It's a
Still
five.
feels like it still
You
feels
love this.
historically. Well, no, it's not that I love it. It just feels historically important. Look, I'm just glad that he's putting a name on something and look, what else can he do? I mean, I know. Okay, yes, he could have had actually policies over the last 4 years that
Yeah, there you go.
prevented this, dismantled companies that list in the U.S. that have like the fake public companies. I mean, that's something we talk about all the time. Fake public companies are really the problem here. I think we can agree. Without checks and balances, without counterbalances, this is what people are upset about Trump for: is that he has no counterbalance. There's no checks or balances. And this is what we are upset about the Zuckerbergs and the right and the open AIs. So look, at least he named a thing, and people can debate it whether if they want. So okay, let's move on to old-fashioned ESG category. These are the things, the very
Old-fashioned
nerdy
ESG. Ooh.
yeah, very nerdy ESG headlines. Feel free to go as fast or as slow as you want on these. But I'll start with this one. Record number of funds drop ESG labels ahead of new EU rules. So,
Yeah, baby.
yeah, what do you think about that?
I love weeding out frauds. I mean, look,
Yeah.
the rules are stupid. The rules are like they're really badly written. They're highly prescriptive. But the fact is, the market was also full of frauds, and we knew that. We worked at MSCI for 10 years. Like
What are you
together,
saying?
we worked there for
How dare you.
5, right? And we knew half the people that were making ESG funds were just full of shit. They literally
Yeah. Well,
there was
that's how we started our shows. Is actually we were attacking ESG from that perspective, which is don't greenwash people.
exactly. We knew
Now
that
people are fighting them
ESG
from a different reason. But
our
yeah,
original rants were ESG is just data. It's not solving the world's problems. So don't buy a fund that calls itself like the ESG solution fund because that's not a thing, right?
Right.
Like it's like the Dewey saying the Dewey Decimal System solves reading. It doesn't. It just organizes shit.
well,
So-
yeah, I have a paper that proves it does. Yeah.
So like now though, they write all these rules in Europe that are like hugely bureaucratic, highly prescriptive, and very difficult to parse. The rules were then dumb, and then it's like, well, now you're doing it the wrong way because it is just data. So it's like you're not solving sustainability; you're solving a data problem. And now that funds are dropping the label, you actually can see the fraud. So at the end, it kind of works. I kind of like it. I'm okay with it. I'm going to give it a 7. I like
Right.
that. I like frauds dropping like flies.
Here's what we haven't talked about this entity in a while. The Science-Based Targets Initiative (SBTI) passes 10,000 companies committing to science-based climate targets. You like that? You like that threshold? 10,000 companies committing to science-based climate targets.
I like it if we weren't already fucked with the climate. Aren't we already dead?
Well, that's your perspective, but we got to keep
I think that's the
fighting.
perspective of science.
This is
I
the
don't
good
think that's
game.
mine.
This is the good game. Yeah.
Look,
I won't be dragged into your morass.
I'm not going to go down the very deep rabbit hole. We've spent a lot of
Please
time
don't.
talking about
Yeah,
SBTI.
if you care, we've done some past shows on this. If you reach out to us, we'll tell you which date to download. Although just download them all anyway. Just
I
make our
download them
numbers
all,
better.
but like we've talked about like the critics of SBTI and how they're doing it wrong. Like one of the prominent critics was used in Republican hearings against
Right.
SBTI. So
Hmm.
meanwhile they were trying to like make SBTI stronger.
Bill
I like
Bowie, was that his name? Bill
yeah,
Bowie.
Bill Bowie, who I talked to, like he's got a
Who
method I
haven't you
don't agree
talked
with,
to?
but
That's
but
the
I
real
did talk
question.
to him. And but the fact that 10,000 companies are looking for some sort of guidance to do a thing, that's a sign of something good. I guess having the hottest year on record, maybe that's probably waking them up. I'll give it a
Numbers going
6.
up.
I'll give it a
Yeah,
6.
the numbers rising at least.
Yeah, I'll give it a
Okay, how
6.
about this one? It's a weird one. Billionaire Michael Bloomberg to fund UN climate change body after U.S. withdrawal. So
Wow.
Trump pulled out, and Bloomberg's going to pay that. I think it's like a $20 million. Is it $20 million?
I hate
It's
this. I hate it.
it's in the
a
millions.
zero.
Wait,
Like
okay.
a hard
Go ahead.
zero.
Go ahead.
Th-
Tell me
the-
why.
Look,
But it's
this is
funny. It's funny you say that because I think a lot of people would have taken.
my guess is Damien's internet just died because he's like in not in his studio. He's been on the road for 700 years. But while I'm live streaming, I'll tell you why I hate it. I hate this because this is exactly what we get in an oligarchy. We're begging for benevolent dictators. What the U.S. pulls out of this, so a billionaire has to step in and save us all from the policy mistakes of the country that voted for it. Isn't this is part of the reason why the country votes for a Trump? Oh, Damien's back. Let's see it. Let's see if he actually comes back. Are you back yet? He's not back yet. Hey, look, a video of Damien.
Thing.
Your thing stinks. You need a different computer.
Yeah, I think it's the computer's fault. I don't think it's the internet. Do you want to keep trying on this one? Keep
So
going.
I was just saying to the live stream people, of which there are 0, I hate this.
Hmm.
And I hate it because we're begging our billionaires to bail us out of stupidity. Right? Like, isn't the reason Trump
arbitrary.
gets
Yeah.
elected
Yeah.
like elites swoop in and do these policy things that, like they don't understand, they don't necessarily want, they don't know what's going on. And it's 20 million, you said it's $20 million, $20 million
So
in a country, $20 million is what it costs to get like a speed bump installed. That's nothing. Like it's so stupid that as to be nothing, but he gets the headline.
he gets the headline. Absolutely.
And it's a billionaire who gets to take credit for like saving the U.S. Climate change body after whatever. I fucking hate it. I don't want to ask billionaires for shit. We shouldn't be roaming around looking for a billionaire to fund us. That's a problem with Free Float. We went around looking for billionaires to fund us, like millionaires and billionaires. And guess how many there are? 0, because nobody wants to hold anyone accountable. I
No,
don't
their
want
friends. No, they don't want their friends held accountable. No.
I don't want to beg for money. I don't want to beg a billionaire for money. We should do it because it's right and smart, and we should do it. I don't
Okay.
want to beg a billionaire. I'm giving it a 0.
All right. Next headline: majority of companies leading on emissions reductions have tied executive pay to ESG aims. Did you hear about that one?
This one's surprising. That
Why? Why is it
surprises me.
surprising? Why?
Because every time we look at the executive pay, how it's actually put together, we see that like the percentage of executive pay tied to these things is like infinitesimally small.
Well, sure,
Like-
but they're talking about I see what you're saying. Yeah, but maybe there aren't a lot of companies leading on emissions reductions in the first place. Unfortunately,
Well, that,
yeah.
that's more
I'm
cynical
trying
than
to
what I'm saying.
I'm trying to wring the positive out of this somehow.
Well, the positive is that where there are emissions reductions, executive pay is also tied to the goals in some small, often infinitesimal amount. It means even the tiniest amount. What it suggests is there's some sort of human behavior that says if you set a goal, no matter how small or meaningless that goal is, these type of people do not like to not achieve goals, right? Like they want to achieve the goals, no matter how small. They set
Sure.
it, it's in their pay,
Yep.
they're going to go after it. That's good. That means that could work as an
Okay.
incentive, right? I like it. That's an 8 for me.
Wow. I got one more in this category. Old-fashioned ESG headlines. The headline is, this is a quote from the boss. It just says the boss of Emirates. They don't. I don't know if it's the CEO or the chair, but the boss of Emirates says Boeing should treat workers better to recover from its mess. How about that perspective?
Um,
Saying it out loud too, calling out Boeing for mistreating its workers as the issue.
Emirates is where? Dubai?
I believe so. We don't cover Emirates very often on this show.
Is that where the World Cup was?
Or
2 years
isn't
ago?
it going to be? No, I thought the World Cup was in. No, actually, I don't recall. It's gonna be in LA next. Yeah,
It seems like a place where workers' rights don't exist.
Hmm.
Telling a U.S. company who sucks at workers' rights to be
Right.
better at treating their workers.
Well, we don't have any evidence that workers' rights don't exist at Emirates, but I see what you're saying. The context of where Emirates operates is not very
That's what I
worker
mean.
friendly. Yeah.
It's a 5. I don't.
Okay.
I think it's
All right,
also
let's
stating
move
the
on.
obvious.
I got a bunch in this next category called fines and lawsuits and settlements and regulations, all that fun stuff.
Jeez, I already hate it.
I know it's kind of a boring category. Let's start with your old favorite. One of your favorite companies is Vanguard because they don't do a thing about anything. They don't have an opinion about anything other than pro management. Here's the headline: Vanguard will pay $106 million over misleading statements about retirement funds. Matt, this is a headline that you pointed out to me that they dumped at like midnight last Friday. They just kind of snuck it in. They just kind of, whoops.
Yeah, I can't. Remind me what the misleading statements actually were. What were the statements that they made?
I don't have that information in front of me.
I think I think it was like what was taxable, like what in the funds was taxable, and what wasn't.
Okay.
So, I mean, if you lied about what was taxable, can we call every lie misleading now? Can we just
Yeah, I think so.
right? Like, because you disclose like this is a like a tax efficient fund, and then it's not, and then you get fined by the SEC and you pay 100 million for it. It's not misleading.
Yeah,
It's
look,
a
the
lie,
problem with
right?
the problem with all of these stories, all these headlines that we cover in this vein, are that the companies they never admit wrongdoing, they never admit guilt, they're always settling, they're never even taking the penalty that the government wants to levy. They're always choosing something in the middle that they don't care about. So yeah,
This is fine. It's like they stink, so I'll give it a 6. At least they got fined something.
Tennessee drops BlackRock ESG suit after asset manager agrees concessions. What do you think about that? Is this good?
So I don't
Dropping the
understand why
suit?
you chose this one.
Well, they're dropping the suit. That's why I
This is-
chose it.
This is like
know,
the
sometimes-
worst entry in the
sometime-
good game ever.
Sometimes I wedge things in because the people that the audience that still stays with us, maybe they just want to hear your perspective on BlackRock's fighting ESG suits across the country. I don't know. I'm trying to create content here, Matt.
Well, this content sucks.
Okay,
Like,
so you can feel free to score it quickly and move on.
well, I read the suit.
Yeah.
And what BlackRock agreed to do, 90% of it they already do. It's like some of the things are like so dumb as to be like,
The whole
did
thing is
Tennessee
stupid.
actually look at anything BlackRock says and does? Because they said BlackRock needs to disclose their proxy votes, around environmental and social issues with a reason. They already do that. They do that every time they vote against management. They write down the reason, and it's on. I've seen it for years, for literally years. It's
So
been there, right?
why is Tennessee agreeing to drop the suit then?
Well, they're agreeing to drop the suit because it's a PR stunt. They
I
weren't
see.
going to win
Oh,
the suit.
it's a win for them.
It's a
Tennessee,
huge.
Yeah,
It looks like a win for them.
looks like a win.
The catch with this, the win part, is this is where the conservative talking points become snowflake nanny state, because in the agreement they mandate that BlackRock cannot, if you're talking to someone in Tennessee, you have to use the words financially material. You can't not say that. So now they're like dictating what
Sure.
BlackRock can and can't say to someone in
Matt,
Tennessee.
this is the irony of our new age, right? All the people on the right, all the Republican types, are now doing the very opposite that they used to do, which is, yes, a nanny state, telling corporations what to do. Can't buy a BMW because they don't want to advertise on X. Whatever it is a strange new world order. I'll tell you that
Well,
much.
here's the insane part. That when you read the suit, you realize like who the AG in Tennessee that signed this off. So in the suit, they say anytime BlackRock wants to vote against management on an environmental or social, with an environmental or social reason of any kind, they have
Which
to
is rare in the first place. Yeah.
They got to document it, and they got to give the reason, and it's got to be on their website and all this kind of stuff. They also are subject to an audit in which the AG of Tennessee will pick 25 companies, and BlackRock will choose 25 companies. Companies need to come from a list of the worst climate offenders that BlackRock maintains, like the companies. Well, I should say the companies that contribute 90% of corporate emissions. Right? They're going to choose from that list. Anytime BlackRock goes against management, so the incentive for BlackRock is not to go against management because then they have to do a lot of record keeping. But let's say they do,
Which is rare.
Which is rare to begin with. The AG can audit that, and then they can argue about whether or not that was merited.
The AG,
right?
who has no understanding of this subject matter in the first place. Yeah.
The AG is a lawyer. He's a lifelong. He's 0 minutes in finance, right? Like he's a lifelong
ESG.
lawyer. Here's what the AG filed as a lawsuit in 2023. He filed a lawsuit against 21 manufacturers who make products that use PFAS for environmental and health concerns. Among them is the company 3M, which is on the BlackRock list. So if BlackRock wants to vote for a shareholder proposal looking for a report on PFAS, they would have to document it. It could be subject to an audit by the Tennessee AG, who sued them, but could also sue BlackRock for voting with management on an environment or against management on an environmental issue. It's insane.
Yeah.
It's insanity.
And BlackRock knows that Tennessee and the AG is already looking for more political theater too. So
any political theory you can get, if BlackRock contravenes this agreement, they'd love for them to do that so they can say BlackRock, we're holding BlackRock accountable for being woke.
Right.
Like this is why you don't cower. This is why you don't hide, you don't settle, you don't there's
Matt,
winning.
Larry Fink is busy buying and selling crypto now, so I don't think he cares anymore. What's your score on this one?
My score on this is a 0. This is a
Gotta be
0.
low.
Like, what are
Yeah,
you
it's gonna be
doing?
low.
Tennessee didn't drop the suit. They
tried.
won the political theater, and you bent the knee like a fucking Mo.
It doesn't help. It doesn't help me, my scores, but I did enjoy your answer up until the last bit, which you're getting a little out of control. All right. The Department of Justice sues Walgreens, alleging it knowingly filled millions of prescriptions that lacked legitimate medical purposes. Ooh, that doesn't sound good out of Stefano Pacina there.
Well,
Filling millions of prescriptions that lacked legitimate medical purposes.
I love that for Stefano Pacina. Um, I, I'm confused about which Department of Justice. The U.S. Department of Justice, the one that,
Maybe it was the former one. Was it the was
like,
it Biden's?
was
Yeah,
this
that's a good
Biden's? Because
question.
didn't
Yeah,
everybody quit? And like anybody who does any investigations of anyone?
it's a good point. Yeah.
But I like it. It's a 7. I love,
All right.
maybe Stefano Pacina is actually named in the lawsuit.
I would think he has to be. He controls the entire company, including not that he controls his wife, but his wife is the COO, if I'm not mistaken.
That's correct. Yeah.
GM, General Motors, cannot sell your location data for the next 5 years. That's a settlement based on the fact that they were selling your data for the last, I think it's like 15 years or whatever the number is. But that's
Except
the
that
that's the settlement.
everyone, why is GM held to a different standard than Mark Zuckerberg? That guy sells
Because
everything you've ever told him.
my understanding is because they didn't disclose that they were doing it. Whereas Zuckerberg, Graham, when you sign on the first time and you don't read all the terms of engage, what do they call them? What are all those things called? Terms doesn't
Yeah,
matter. You agree to
the
the fact.
T's and
Yeah,
C's.
you agree to that fact initially by not actually reading through it, whereas GM didn't even take that step. So the whole thing is a bit daft. I
That's
agree.
so stupid. I'm giving this it's a 5 because I'm glad they can't
Okay,
sell my location data, but I don't want anyone to have it.
you don't even own a GM, do you?
No, of course not.
Okay. California bans insurance policy cancellations in boost to property owners. The insurance industry prepares for record breaking losses. So, yeah, you heard a lot of stories coming out of the fire torn California that even in some cases, like only months before the fires, that insurance companies were canceling people's home policies.
I know we're supposed to hate that. But to me, it's one thing. Like medical insurance, like it seems like one thing. Property insurance seems like another. The fact that you live in a desert that's wildfire prone and
That's
you
an
don't
interesting perspective. Yeah, I might
like
actually agree with you, even though at first I thought you were being a jerk. But
no,
go
I
on.
think the reality is like if I said you lived on the beach and it was flood prone and your house had been like
Yeah.
flooded
Well,
4 times,
yeah.
like
That okay. That example is the very thing that occurs all the time. I live on the coast of Maine. This is the thing that happens all the time. Rich people come often from out of state. They put up these monstrosities right on the coast. Uh, Big storms, nor'easters, hurricanes come and wipe them out, and we're supposed to feel sorry for them. We agree. We don't want the insurance company to cover these policies in the first place. You should not be building there.
right. I think insurance companies are literally doing their job. If you can't get insurance for a thing where you live, that suggests that maybe you shouldn't be there
Well,
because
it's
the risk is
interesting.
very high.
Interesting perspective. I heard the other day that the Los Angeles area was getting its first rain in like 9 months, and my first reaction to that is, why do people live there? How is it
Yeah.
possible? No, really. Like, I know it's a very simplistic reaction, but how, Matt? How do people live in a place that gets no rain? It's crazy to me.
No, I'm with you. I agree.
So what's your score here?
My score here is it's a 3. I know what they're
Not what I
trying to do.
intended.
I know they're trying to
Yeah,
protect people who can't afford it without
you talked me
insurance,
into
right?
that one.
But I
You
don't feel
talked me
like
into
it's
that. Oh,
good.
well, about this one, let's stay on theme. California. This is a legislation that's already been. They haven't voted it on it yet, but they've already submitted it. California considers letting wildfire victims sue oil companies for damages.
That one's going to be hard to prove. That seems like
Exxon likes to sue places like Arjuna.
I
What
love it. I
about
think
yeah?
I would love to sue the oil companies for everything. Like
How about suing them for suing Arjuna? Can we do that?
now now we're talking. I'm going to give this one a 6 just because for entertainment value. It won't
Yeah.
work, but I like the entertaining
Let's try
aspects
to
of it.
end this show. I'm guessing it's been about 17 hours. Let's end with a DEI union speed round. The
Ooh.
DEI union speed round.
Union
Here we
speed
go.
round.
Whole Foods workers in Philadelphia vote to form Amazon-owned grocery stores' first union. That's the headline. I
10.
didn't realize that. I didn't realize that was the case. First, I mean, what are they waiting for? I don't go to Whole Foods anymore, really, but since Amazon bought it, Matt, the workers do seem a lot more depressed. They used to have a bit of a glow like the workers at Trader Joe's have, but now they just look depressed at Whole Foods. So
Isn't like
I'm
the most
surprised this is the first one.
organic, crunchy thing you can do to form a union? Just like they should all do that. Yeah, 10.
Jamie Dimon is doubling down on J.P. Morgan's DEI work as a conservative group targets Wall Street. Jamie says, "Bring them on."
Yeah, 10. Thank you, Jamie,
Right.
for once
Jamie with a 10.
saying something I want to hear.
Speaking of DEI companies, Costco union representing 18,000 workers authorizes nationwide strike.
Union, you morons, that in this case, Costco is the one who's for like diversity and inclusion and trying
Yes, pro DEI.
like so
now.
striking is like 10 minutes after they're fighting against like caving on D. Now
I think
now
it's
if
good
you're
timing for
Costco,
the
you're
union,
like,
frankly.
oh great. So now you guys hate us and they hate us? Well then fuck all
Yeah.
y'all. Like it's not my favorite look. So I'm going to give it a 5.
And finally, on the good game, a mega good game for January 28th, 2025. We haven't done a good game in a long time, and I needed to feel better about life. Let's end on this one. Delta. This one surprises me. Delta Airlines, of all companies, doubles down on DEI ESG policies. So, I mean, what the hell? How'd that happen?
Delta was according to us in our other show, the
Yeah.
Proxy Countdown from last year, Delta is the best of the worst industry in the world. So,
Okay.
I like this. I'm going to give it a 9. I like it.
All right. Ending on a high note. Before we wrap up, I'll tell you that your score for the week is your score is always about the same, but it's a 5.5, a 6. You're always in that
There it
range. Well, here's the
is.
last 4 scores from the good game. Ready? The last 4 scores: 5.5, 5.9, 5.4, 5.6. Matt, you're remarkably consistent, which is what you really want out of an analyst hole. You want consistency.
That's all I can give you, consistency. That's the name of the game. That's the good game. There was some good in the good game. I'm surprised. I like some of it. That's Hazelnut Rawlis. I'm your analyst hole, Matt Moscardi. We are Free Float. We'll be back on Friday. We're going to have a double header. We got 2 shows I think we're going to do on Friday because Damien is out of pocket for a little while. So until then, goodbye.
I don't get the gulf. I don't get the gulf of
Your computer's going to make it a bitch for me to edit.
Yeah, I don't know. This sucks.